Hey everybody, welcome to that Vinyl channel. I'm that Vinyl Guy Boz. So on this episode, I'm going to be giving you the definitive guide on how to tell the difference between a vinyl record and a styrene record. So this works 100% of the time, and I'm going to show this to you and have that coming up. So stick around and don't touch that dial. Alright, so there are lots of videos on YouTube talking about this. A lot of people say to go ahead and flick a record, or examine the material of the record, or to go ahead and balance the record, or do all these things. And I will say some of these do work some of the time, but they're inconsistent. I'm going to show you a few things here that works all the time. The reason being is because vinyl records and styrene records are pressed differently. So first and foremost, I want to go ahead and get this out of the way. We're talking about records pressed in the US. No records are pressed on styrene outside of the US. So if you have a foreign pressing from whatever country, it was definitely not styrene, it's going to be vinyl. Now, records that are pressed on vinyl and records that are pressed on styrene have one major difference, and that is the labels. And that's because on a vinyl record, the labels are actually pressed, you might even say they're baked into the vinyl. So they almost become like part of the record. As we're on styrene, on most styrene records, the label is actually glued on top of the record. And there are ways to tell that. I'm going to go ahead and show you one right here. Let me see, right here. So this here is a styrene record, okay? I'm going to show this to you. Hopefully you can see this. But basically we have bubbles here. Air pockets, air bubbles, okay? And this is where the glue, okay, isn't touching the actual label, and the label isn't touching the material, the styrene. So it leaves these air bubbles. So that's one way you can tell styrene, because sometimes some of them have these air bubbles. But you know what the big thing is? I'll tell you what it is. Now, these records, because the label is sitting on top, you can actually pretty easily remove this label. Now these are junk 45s. I picked them up for a nickel a piece. A record store down the road. I got about 20 of them just for this video. So, and this is what I do for you guys, all right? So what I'm going to go ahead and do is show you something here. So I can take my fingernail. And I can actually, let me see if I can do this on camera. I can actually pick. I can pick this label. Look at this. See this? I can pick this label off, okay? I can go over here, I can pick over here, and you see this? You see that damage there, that white, that damage? I damaged that. Come over here on this end over here, I'm gonna pick over here too, okay? And you have more damage, okay? So I have another styrene record here. Another styrene record is the same exact way, okay? So the label, okay, you see the label right now, it looks pretty good, right? I can come over here, and I can just start picking at it with my fingernails, and look at that. Okay, it's coming off. So that's because the label is laying on top, it's glued on, the glue is not all that strong, and you can actually disturb the label of a styrene 45 with your fingernails. Now, please don't go into a record store, okay, and you want to figure out if a record is styrene or vinyl, and start taking your fingernail and taking off the label. And if the owner comes over and say, "What's up?" say, "Well, Boz over at that vinyl channel told me this is how to tell if it's styrene or vinyl." Okay, I don't want to get those emails, so just don't do that. But there are other ways to tell. So usually what you do is that you can take your finger. I'm talking about the actual flat part here. Okay, right there, this part of your finger right here, and you can rub from the run out down, okay, and you can feel the edge, and you can even take your fingernail and touch it, and you can probably feel where you would start pulling it off. Don't pull it off unless it's your record and you want to test this out. That's fine. Your fingernail will stop where the edge is, okay? So and like again, you can take your finger and you can rub it right there on the run out down into the label, and you can feel the edge. So that is going to be a styrene record. Here's a vinyl record right here, okay? So it does not have the same issue. If I take my finger and I rub it, okay, it feels very, very smooth. I can't feel any edge. I can't really feel where the record stops and the label starts. Of course, it does, because you're going from that here, but you can't really feel the edge, okay? And if you take your fingernail and tried to grab a hold of something, and even if you do grab a hold of something, if you try to pick it off, you're not going to be able to pick it off. Here's another, that's a vinyl. Here's another vinyl record right here. So if I try to take my fingernail and try to scratch this off, okay, I can't get a hold of anything. There's nothing there to get a hold of. So, you know, I mean, sure, you can sit there for 10 minutes or so and keep picking and finally disturb it. But that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about easily disturb the label. You cannot easily disturb a label on a vinyl record with your fingernails, but you can on a styrene record. This is the fastest way to tell what vinyl is and what a styrene record is by the label. That's the fastest way, the easiest way. Another fast way, too, to tell what a vinyl record is. Vinyl records have these little serrations. They're called locking serrations. But if you see these locking serrations, and usually they go around the label, every so often you see it where they're actually the label is actually on top of the serrations, but the serrations are still there. But usually the label is supposed to be smaller. Okay, it's supposed to be on the inside and the serrations on the outside. Either way, if you see these locking serrations on a record, it's vinyl. Always vinyl, because they never used serrations on styrene records. Never, ever, ever. Never. So if you pick up a 45 and you notice these serrations, okay, that's going to be a vinyl record, period. Okay, it's not going to be styrene. And one more thing I'm going to show you too. So some styrene records, not a whole bunch, but some styrene records, they actually use paint or ink to actually make the label. No paper. Now, you gotta remember, this comes out of the styrene machine. It actually presses this record, and it does kind of like press it. It's not the same as a vinyl record, but it does press this, and it comes out, and it has a black label. It has a black. Is right here is all black where the label is supposed to be. Okay, and that's where they glue the label on. Sometimes what they do, they put it through a machine, and they have rollers, and it actually inks this. So it looks like ink. Sometimes it looks like paint. So this is another way you can tell styrene. And this is a styrene record because there's no paper. It's actually they use ink to go ahead and create the label, and they ink this on. That's always going to be a styrene record as well. Okay, and that's it. I do want to thank everybody for joining me today. If you have any questions, please go ahead and put it down in the comments, and I will be sure to go ahead and respond to you. If you have not subscribed to my channel, now is a great time to do so. Go ahead and tap on that subscribe button, and don't forget to bash on that bell for notifications, and that way you know when I put up brand new videos just like this one here. But again, I want to thank everybody, and I'll see y'all next time.